Hello and welcome to Electronics and Mechatronics. If you're watching that video, then obviously you are part of our group and you are either taking courses in electronics or mechatronics. My name is Lee Radney. I am the full-time instructor here. Behind me is my daytime adjunct. His name is Mr. Steve Billhar. Say hello, Steve.
Hello, Steve.
See, perfect. See. And we do have two other people that assist us. One of them is my nighttime adjunct. His name is Farhad Kaboli. He doesn't mind being called Fred because he knows that we have trouble saying Farhad. So Fred is our nighttime instructor. All three of us work together at Rockwell Automation. All three of us have been in electronics between the three of us in more than 100, 110, 20 years. I don't want to do the math. It's depressing at how old we all are. But we got a lot of knowledge, which is a good thing. So we want to give you the benefit of our knowledge. There's one young guy floating around. He's a lab assistant. His name is Joseph Kaysen. If you encounter him, he is super knowledgeable for his age, especially. I have learned things from him in a very short time. Any of us can assist you with any questions you have. May not be able to answer every question. We'll certainly try. If not, we'll try to put you with whoever you need to get with to have that question answered. So you'll need a few things before we get started, before you get started in your class. You'll need your student information page. That's a little handout you can get from your instructor. You'll need your schedule. Hopefully you already have that. If you don't happen to have a copy, we can reprint it. The reason that schedule is going to be so important is we're going to start this semester treating your classes like mini-mester courses. What I mean by that, for those of you that have been around, if you take more than one course in electronics or mechatronics, we used to suggest some dates that you need to be finished with each one. Well, starting this semester, we're no longer suggesting. We're going to ask that you finish one course by a definitive time, then start the next course. And the reason we don't have you work in both courses is often one course is a prerequisite of the other, and even if they're not, why make you dally a little bit with one thing and dally a little bit with the other when we can just simply say do this then do that. It's really easier for you and it's easier for us. But those dates are no longer going to be suggestions. We've got a way to restrict your access to Blackboard, which is an LMS system that we use, and we plan to do that starting this semester. Because these are just like mini-mester courses. You're given a definitive time to finish any course that you're taking at college, and this is no different. So if you're taking two courses in a mini-mester, you would normally take one course the first half of the semester and the second course the second half. We're going to do the same thing. But if you happen to finish a course early, we can get you access to the other course. But bottom line, if you come in here, you're taking two 4-credit-hour courses, and it's a 15-week semester, or if it's a 10-week semester, we're going to assume both those 4-credit-hour courses take about the same amount of time, and halfway through the calendar part of the semester, your first course is going to turn itself off, and your second course is going to turn itself on. Now, we can manually manipulate that, but we're not going to do that just on a whim. Typically, the only reason we should have to manipulate that is when you do one of two things. You either finish a course early and want to begin your second course, or you realize you're so far behind in your first course that you need to drop your second course. Dropping courses has financial aid implications, could mess you up from that standpoint. So don't do that as a matter of a way out if you're being lazy or whatever, because it could keep you from being able to finish your college just because you dropped a course. So be aware of that as well. But you should have your schedule, should have your student information page. We'll give you both of those if you need them. We definitely have to help you typically get one. The other thing you're going to need is your syllabus. Your syllabus has some good information in it. I'm going to bring it up on the screen, and then I'm going to make sure we're still recording. Sometimes when I switch screens, this thing wants to stop. I tell you what, I'm going to pick a different syllabus because I wasn't real fond of the one that I had picked prior to. So let's see if I can have a little better luck here. Didn't mean to click all the way out, but that's okay. We'll get back. So I'm going to go into this course, and because I'm just going to expand that window and find this magic button. Over here on the left, there's 2 or 3 places that you need to know about. Lessons is the first one. We'll get to that in a minute, but here's your syllabus. And I've already got that syllabus open. No, I don't. I had a different one. Let's get it open. And let's open it up and let's see. It says we're still recording. Okay, it has stopped. I think I'm resuming at the same point around the 5:15 mark. I'll make sure of that after the video is done. But we opened up the syllabus. There's a few things you need to know. That is the course dates that the syllabus covers. Now again, this course, for certain people, if this is the only one you're taking, for this particular instance, you would truly have January 7th to April 30th. But if you were taking more than one course in here, again, we're going to restrict that. You're going to know it. You're going to sign a document saying you understand that this course is available to you from this date to this date. So we're not just going to do something that you're not aware of. But the last day of this particular semester is April 30th. Now here's another test question. Does that mean I can come in and do labs, Steve, all the way up to April 30th if that's the last day? No. No. The last 2 business days of class are reserved for finals. So back that date up 2 days, and that's when everything is due to us. So your last 2 days are finally only. Why is that? We have to grade your labs. We have to grade your projects. We have to grade your chapter questions, so forth and so on. Just imagine you have 30 students and they all bring you 20 sheets of labs and chapter questions on the very last day and say, I need these graded. I just got them done. Well, we have to have grades in by noon the next day. No way we could grade your labs and get those in. So that's why those last 2 are reserved for final. Everything else is due to us by the end. So just be aware of that. Here's your instructor, Farhad Kaboli. Again, Farhad does not mind being called Fred. Now, does that mean if you have a specific question about this course, you have to ask this instructor? Absolutely not. If you happen to be here when this instructor is not here, you can ask anybody. Now, we're all very knowledgeable, but we're not all experts on the same thing. But we will put you in touch. We'll get you an answer and do our best. You know, specific questions about the course, especially. Now, if you're inquisitive about certain technology and have a kind of an off-the-wall question, we'll still try to answer that too, but it's not going to be as pertinent to us as questions about your course, obviously. So we're going to make sure we get you an answer on those, one form or another. There's a required supplies and textbook section up here. If you're getting financial aid, those have to be bought the first 3 days of the class. Make sure you get those done. And then the last thing is how your grades are distributed. If you take a look down here and up at the top of this, your NIDA quizzes, and I know you don't know what half this stuff is, but you will before it's all said and done. But your NIDA quizzes account for 30% of your grade, your labs 40, your project 10, your midterm 10, and your final exam 10. So for this particular course, your overall average is has different aspects of things you need to do to get your grade. So most important one being your labs. That's why it carries a 40% weight. So be sure you understand all the requirements and all the needs you have to do that. So that's your syllabi, and that's talking about supplies. Now logging into Blackboard, that's on your student information page. I'm in Blackboard now, and I'm again making sure. My apologies every time I switch screens, this thing stops recording. I'm not sure why. But this is Blackboard. We're going to show you how to get into Blackboard. And now you're seeing everything I teach, everything my adjuncts teach. You'll typically see 1 to 4 courses here, not a whole screen full like I'm seeing here. But these are things, this is something you need to have to do, and that's on that student information page. All right, let's go back to my electronics mechatronics orientation. Let's see if we're still recording. So we're back to the orientation page. Another thing that you'll receive is a work ethics grade at the end of every semester. We have 4 work ethics grades. We have a 0, a 1, a 2, and a 3. most of the time you're going to be a 2. A 2 is just you're a responsible student doing the things we expect of you, but occasionally we'll see students become a 3. That 3 is generally earned by doing things above and beyond the norm. I used to talk to folks and remind them, if you're a fireman, your job's to go to a fire. If you're a student, your job's to do your work. But if you do your work and then, assist other students, do projects related to electronics for outside of up here as far as teaching or something. I've got one student right now helping with the Lego Mindstorm robots at the library. That's kind of above and beyond. That's something beyond just what a normal student has to do to be successful. But you will be graded on work ethic. That will include cleanups. We do cleanups in the lab, and you're going to do that on the job. Don't think for 1 minute that you won't ever have to hold a broom as an electronic technician or a mechatronic. Steve and I both worked in a manufacturing plant for 30 years, and we swept and mopped and dusted and you name it. It all happened. So that's part of your work ethic here, and emptying trash. Grade calculations, we talked about that already when we were in the syllabus. 40% for your labs, 30% for your NIDA and all that. Got a customer. Hang on just a moment. Okay, I think we were talking about grade calculations. So bottom line, you just need to know how your grade is scored and why. If you have specific questions, please ask us. That applies to anything, not just grade calculations. I'll go back in a minute to logging in the NIDA and Amatrol. We'll talk about that. It'll probably be on the next video here. Let's cover the rest of these real quick. We do have a pretty lax food and drink policy. Basically, if it's a snack, a non-heated up in the microwave snack, or a drink with a lid or a cap on it, we don't mind you have it in here. Keep it away from the computers. We don't want a dead computer from something spilled in it. We don't want crumbs all in the keyboards. But if you do that neatly and all, we'll continue to relax that a little bit. Class hours and dates, you're going to find that on your syllabus, and you're going to find that in your Blackboard. But just remember, those dates are for that full semester. They may not be for the length of that course, but again, you're going to know that. Financial aid can only be utilized in the bookstore the first 3 days. I think that'll be a question. Any of this is subject to be a question, but I'm trying to give you a little heads up to what might be for sure. All right, here's the last one. I'm going to preach on this. When you do a lab, now a lab is when you perform something on a trainer, on a breadboard. The only exception to that is a NIDA lab. NIDA tracks when you do your labs. But if you're building a circuit on a breadboard, you're completing a task on a trainer, that document that you're filling out needs to be signed off by your instructor. And we've got sign-off sheets in a lot of these, but if it's a piece of paper you print out instead of a sign-off sheet and turn into us, we need to see that you really did that lab. We don't need to watch you do everything. You need to just call us out here and say, hey, I'm over here on this electrical trainer. I just wired this up. I'm ready to turn it on. We're going to sign the sheet that you're there. We're going to be with you when you turn it on. We're not going to be there every minute that you're building that lab. But we will not accept a lab without sign-off. That's going to be a question. Labs and sign-offs. Will we accept a lab without a sign-off? The answer is no. You need to have that lab signed off. The reason for that is we had people copying each other's labs and turning them in and not performing it. Those labs are for you to understand what you're doing. So that's why that's so important. When you begin a new course, talk to us. I cannot tell you how many times a student thought they had completed a course, thought they had turned in everything, and then found out, oh, I hadn't done this. I've still got 3 weeks worth of stuff to do. Talk to us. And that's why we're also drawing these lines in the sand. That's another reason. Is often toward the end of the semester, we discover that students have not completed a certain part of their course. We're about to run out of time. I'm going to start another video here in a minute. This is a lengthy process, I understand, but we like these videos because you can refer back, and we like the fact that you can do it in your own time rather than having to come in here at a specific time. So next video will start in just a minute.